The X trilogy is considered as one of the most anticipated horror trilogies from A24. The first film I watched of the three was Pearl, which became hugely popular in 2022 thanks to memes and TikTok videos. I immediately loved Pearl as a character. She's a mass murderer, but she isn't without emotion or nuance. She feels more like a sociopath than a stereotypical psychopathic serial killer because she actually feels deeply even if those feelings are warped. Next I watched is X. At first, I didn't fully understand what the film was trying to convey in the opening, but as it went on, I realized that Pearl had become an elderly woman filled with regret, desperately trying to reclaim her youth while still holding onto her murderous tendencies. After watching X, I was really excited to see how Maxine's life would turn out after the Texas porn star massacre. When I finally watched Maxine, I was hyped during the first act. I was intrigued by the mystery of the Night Stalker and curious how Maxine would deal with the private investigator, Michael Labatt, while also juggling her acting career. Unfortunately, during the middle of the film, the pacing started to slow down significantly. Characters who were just introduced were suddenly killed off shortly after, without their deaths affecting Maxine at all, like one of her female co-stars. The director, played by Elizabeth Debicki, was set up as this strict, tough figure, but there was no real tension or conflict between her and Maxine. Instead, they mostly just drove around, talked, and set up the psycho-reference scene. The character played by Lily Collins was also surprisingly underutilized and felt more like a cameo than a meaningful role. Leon should have been Maxine's new boyfriend and the one who helped ground her, one who could challenge her belief that fame is not everything. Meanwhile, Detective Williams and Torres felt like filler characters who didn't contribute anything substantial to the story. That said, I did like the reveal that the serial killer is Maxine's father. I know some people didn't like it and found it cartoonish, but I think it makes sense and was foreshadowed both in X and at the beginning of the film. My main issue is the build-up to that reveal. The murders didn't escalate in a meaningful way or clearly connected to his motivations. If he were targeting people he believed had corrupted his daughter, his narrative would feel much more cohesive. Instead, he was killing seemingly random sex workers instead of trying to destroy the showbiz industry. If Hollywood is so evil, why not go after a film producer or directors, especially those directly involved with Maxine? As for the ending, it worked for me. It properly closes Maxine's arc and shows that she's different from Pearl with a new perspective on what it means to be a star. The most disappointing part of the film is that it had the potential to be great, but needed more refinement, especially in how it developed and used its characters. So here's how I would fix Maxine. At the beginning of the film, Amber and Tabby Martin form a genuine bond with Maxine. Tabby would say the line, "Girls gotta look out for each other in this business." They're warm, open, and eager to include her, but Maxine keeps her distance. She doesn't want emotional attachments. Later on, their deaths would impact her. This establishes Maxine's internal conflict early. She wants closeness but believes ambition requires isolation. Here, her relationship with Leon is explored more deeply. Leon grounds her and questions her obsession with fame, suggesting that maybe fame is not everything, and that there's more to the world outside of it. Maxine dismisses this, but his words linger. Michael Labatt, the investigator, begins blackmailing Maxine, threatening to expose her involvement in the Texas porn star massacre to Elizabeth Bender and the studio. He also implies that the recent murders of Amber and Tabby could be linked to her, subtly framing Maxine as the potential suspect and even suggesting she might be the Night Stalker herself. The conversation between Maxine and Elizabeth about society being afraid of art and its own demons remains, but it expanded. Elizabeth later confronts Maxine about her past. Maxine denies everything. Elizabeth doesn't fully believe her, but she admits Maxine has something rare, an intensity Hollywood can sell. However, she warns her, if Maxine puts the production at risk, she will be replaced. A former porn star is already a liability. A potential serial killer would destroy the film. Maxine later violently confronts Labatt and beats him, reclaiming control for the first time. This is a turning point. She stops reacting and starts acting. Leon confesses his love to Maxine while she's practicing her lines. He asks what happens after the film, after the fame. Maxine can't answer. She tells him she doesn't have time for this and abruptly ends the call. His death later becomes the first murder that truly cracks her composure, not because she loved him fully, but because she realizes her mission cost her something real. Detective Williams and Torres pressure Maxine, suspecting she knows more than she's letting on. Their investigations become tighter and more intrusive. Detective Torres will also tell Maxine that he wanted to be an actor too, to sympathize with her, but Maxine still refused to help. Maxine arrives late to the set later on, and Elizabeth reprimands her harshly, reminding her that talent doesn't excuse her behavior. Maxine grows closer to Molly Bennett and tries to stop her from going to the Hollywood Hills, haunted by Leon's death, and also afraid of losing another person to the Night Stalker. Maxine would mention what Tabby said, girls gotta look out for each other in this business. Molly insists that she needs this opportunity, that risk is part of Hollywood. When Molly is later killed, Maxine feels genuine guilt, reinforcing the idea that people die when they get close to her. Teddy Knight helps eliminate Labatt, believing he's protecting her future. However, Teddy is murdered by the Night Stalker himself later on. This marks a shift in the killings. The murderer is no longer random, he's targeting people connected to Maxine's rise. Elizabeth's Bender life is threatened next by an anonymous person who managed to sneak into the production, and Maxine saves her, proving she's capable of protecting someone without immediate personal gain, while protecting her dream of being a star. This moment complicates Maxine's morality and solidifies their bond. Overwhelmed by guilt and recognizing the pattern, Maxine finally asks the detectives for help. She admits she feels responsible for the undeserved deaths. Together they head to the Hollywood Hills, where Maxine discovers the truth. The Night Stalker is her father. He reveals his ideology clearly. He believes Hollywood corrupts souls, spreads sins through art, and turns his daughter into something unnatural. He claims he's killing those who feed the devil's vision, positioning himself as a moral crusader. Maxine counters him, arguing that fame saved her, that being seen is power. The scene where he tries to cleanse Maxine of her sins by making his own film remains, but now it's framed as an ideological battle. The shootout happened then during the chase. Torres will have a moment with Maxine, saying that she should not give up her dream of becoming a star. Her father personally murders both detectives. She tricked her father into coming with her, but she took Torres' gun and shoots him. Then the helicopters arrive. In the final confrontation, Maxine kills her father, not out of forgiveness or righteousness, but control. She refuses to be defined by either Pearl or him. The ending remains largely the same. Maxine becomes famous for killing the Night Stalker, her own father, and also stars in the Puritan sequel. However, only Elizabeth appears with her in the interview, and they gave tribute to Molly, and Maxine watched her head dummy while saying that she's never wanted fame to end. Ultimately, the goal of this rewrite is to deepen Maxine's relationship and give her more agency. The major moments land with greater emotional weight, since in X, she only did something major near the end of the film. It is still a slasher film with real stakes while maintaining the commentary. Many of the film's characters and ideas are strong, they just needed more development to fully pay off a better ending for this trilogy. So that's my rewrite. What do you think? Did you like it? Or do you have any other ideas? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.